we've had this morning. So next up is going to be Mr. David Kinneer. David is a retired Marine and lawyer. That's why he looks so tough. See that? He was raised in Kentucky. He has been all over the country, all 50 states, or just about all 50 states. A lot of them, 45 states, something like that. He lives in Virginia right now. He is an amazing photographer. He contributes a lot to the Texas Bluebird Society. A lot of the photographs that you've seen are photographs that he has taken. And again, the photo that you see on the front of your program and the gift photo in the back is the work of Mr. Kinneer. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. David Kinneer.
I don't know, can you hear me? Okay. Before I get started, I really want to get a picture of Jimmy Wiley and his wife. I communicated with him a whole lot on Facebook and different sites, Bluebird sites, and so I finally got a chance to match the name and the face, and that's worth the trip right there. Anyway, I'll put this away. Not that way. I'm going to talk for a bit. And I guess the main reason that I agreed that when Pauline invited me was when she said that Keith Kreidler was going to be a speaker. I wanted to hear that. And the only way that she could have done better if she said Kinky Friedman was going to be here, because I'm a big Kinky Friedman fan from way back. But anyway, so I can't be all bad. But it's, or maybe I can. I don't know where quite to start, except I'll tell you how I got going with cameras, first of all. Like all the rest of you, I'm old enough that I used to shoot film, and it was frustrating, and I finally put my camera away because I like the instant gratification of digital. It's nothing quite like it. You can look at it and say, nah, stay right there, especially for weddings and things like that, because it's awfully sad to send this stuff off to Rochester and get it back and nothing, or all of it's bad. And so now you can see it when you shoot it. You can say, "Oh, it's bad," but it's. I guess I'd say that in about 2000, I got my first digital camera, and it was a less than a 2 megapixel jewel. And thinking back on it, I still have it. And then the first digital SLR I got was a Canon D30, which is a 3 megapixel, and at the time was the flagship of the Canon family, and I still have that one. Mostly because if I were to sell it, I probably couldn't get more than $150 for it, and it's, I got enough Scottish blood that when I pay a lot of money for something, I am not going to sell it for nothing. And so as long as there's room on the shelf, it sits there. I haven't used it for many, many years, I must admit, but I still do have it. I also have a lot of other cameras, but today I shoot, and you'll probably think this is a lie, but I shoot 1,000 shots a day of bluebirds, and on Fledge days, I shoot 4,000 or 5,000. And so you say, well, when you have that many, and many of them are duplicious, because my camera does have a little selector on there where you can hit it on automatic and it stays there. Because I'm always trying to get the bird when he's going to fly. I'm past the point of having birds just sit there and look at you. So I want them with their wings just right and all that. My wife says, how many of these doggone things do you need? And I just said, well, one more. And so I started off as a hobbyist. There's no doubt about that. And my wife says it's an obsession. It truly is in my family. It is an obsession. Like I say, I buy a new external hard drive each year, and I open up on January 1st. I create a folder for each day of the year. So it's like a diary. I could go back and tell you if it was snowing in Virginia on a certain day or whatever. And so I open up, and what shots I took today, I load them all on there. And if I have time, I'll go back and screen through them. If I took them, at the time I took them, I may have realized I got a pretty nice shot of this out of the other two birds fighting in the air or something like that. I go for that sort of weird stuff. And So I go back and find that one, play with it a little bit with my editing stuff, and I'll pull it out and make a subfolder. Otherwise, they're just all in there. On January 31st, it'll be 01/31/2017. And it goes down the line for every day. We've been doing this since 2004. I really started. We bought our new house and put the bird feeder up. Put the bird house up. I guess it's the nest box, according to what I've been told. And the birds, as they would, they were on it before I got a chance to get back to the camera. And we have never had a day since then that I haven't had the bluebirds in the yard, because I do feed them mealworms. And so mealworms cost me a small fortune. I feed also the Carolina chickadees. I feed the titmouse, the downy woodpeckers, lots of woodpeckers get, and then of course, unfortunately, sometimes there's house sparrows and a lot of robins and a lot of mockingbirds, not by choice because they are hogs, but I ordered 20,000 from California, 20,000 large mealworms delivered by air, second day air, FedEx, and they deliver them, and I go through those, especially in wintertime too, especially now. You'll see, well, maybe you won't because we are having technical difficulties, but I have one slide where there's 26, I think there's 26 bluebirds in that one feeding at one time. And but we had over 30 every day since about September until just, our nesting pair is taking over the neighborhood now, so they're trying to drive the others away. So I think they got the number down to 18. The other day there was still 18 there. So it's a good opportunity for me because Papa flies at them and tries to chase them. I get a lot of good wing shots, which is really what I enjoyed taking. I'm ready to move on to this. I want to talk to you a little bit about Fledge Day, which at our house is a big deal. I clear the calendar, as I said on there. I don't do anything on Fledge Day. At daylight, I move out on the deck, and where I can see the nest box, and I have 3 cameras I primarily use. The one I have with me, and then 2 more on tripods, which are controlled by wireless remote, and because you never know which way these little guys are going to go, or when. And so let me see if this thing works. Okay, a little help. Which button? Okay, these are my cameras. I brought my
Left and right.
Okay, I wanted to say one more thing besides take a picture of Jimmy. I wanted to say, compared to my 3 megapixel, this is a 50. This is the Canon's biggest full frame camera. So they've really grown a lot. So anyway, these are the lenses that I use when I shoot birds. I use this at church and taking pictures of people like y'all. And I didn't want to drag this on the airplane. So, but this my favorite one is this one right here. That's a 300 millimeter f2.8, and I use what the Canon 1DX. If you happen to know what that camera is it's basically the top of the line that Canon has, and it does do a lot of wonderful things. I use about 10% of its capability, and I have no idea. So I'm not a photographer. I'm really just a point and shoot person with a lot of good equipment and a lot of luck. That's really what it comes down to. When you're dealing with bluebirds, you don't know when they're going to go, you don't know where they're going to go, and what they're going to do. So I take pictures, and every now and then they do something that's very interesting. And people say, well, they pose for you. Well, let's see if I can. Now this is my only helper. Now he's happened to using the 200 millimeter, and he, if my wife saw that, she didn't see him up there, and when she saw that, that's our dining room table, and he's not allowed on there except when we're gone, and so, but anyway, Buster. Yeah, actually, you know what it is. You see up at the top part there. Whoops, I'm backing up. I'm sorry. Now I'm really going crazy. No, help! I probably should.
This is all part of the show, folks. All part of the show.
Yeah, which button is it?
That goes transitions
Okay,
forward.
all right.
Don't transition.
All right, bear with me, folks. I'm learning this as I go. But anyway, I don't know what's the next one. Now this is, I brought this one because this is one of your old boxes, and which sent to me when I became a member of this organization, and that was last summer. I think that was our second nesting, and I have 4 boxes, I must say that, and I have a very small lot. So the male bluebird will not allow the other birds, the bluebirds, which they're in the area, to nest in our yard. So I have tree swallows in almost all the others, and then a couple of chickadees. But now that's the same bird. He looks a little better a little further out. But when they first come out, they really do have that leap of faith. They just jump right out there. But this on Fledge Day, this is what I'm really all about. And I can tell you this too. I have about 45 different fledgings from either this box or the box that would be in on that same post. Since I started doing this, and I have watched every one of them go. I have not missed a one, and I've taken pictures of a whole lot of them. Not all good, because they don't, when they first come out, they really look awkward and ugly. So, but that one looks pretty good. This one is a little better. This is tough because this is from a different box, same location, and you see he's the last one out. You can tell the white on the wings. He's been on the bottom, and but anyway, this is remarkable. As a photographer, this is a hard thing to do because he's flying toward me, and the depth of field of these lenses is about that. So in the time it takes you just to click the thing, he's pretty much out of there. That's probably, I saw him move, and I probably shot that just before he got out of range, because he would have been a blur. His face, his head would have been a blur normally. But let's see. Now this is the one that Lonnie used that picture before. I didn't realize he had it. This is one from a couple of years ago. This is the same bird, in case you think that they fly fast. They don't fly that fast. But anyway, this is actually 4 pictures on a montage, just to show you that's how fast my camera snaps and how fast they go. Now, this is a challenge to do as a photographer because, number one, you don't know which way they're going to go, and to hold and keep them in focus, it is rewarding when you find out you lucked out. And so, anyway, now this is, I wanted to show you, I think there's 8 shots here. This is one of the few times when I was able to keep them in focus and spin the camera, because I do these handheld. Well, I used to do it handheld, but I still do try to do it. But anyway, this is the same bird. You'll see him, and I think that's the last one of that. No, that's the last one. Okay. Now, that's the last one. So anyway, there were 8. And okay, now this shot here is actually the best. I consider this the best fledging shot I've ever taken. And coincidentally, when this was taken, I had a video camera set up, aimed at and I was using my still camera, which I got this, but in the middle of a video. This is one of 3 that fledged within 3 minutes of each other, and there were 2 that went before them these are the last three that when I think it was the last nesting which was the third nesting of last year. And so I do, Kevin, do I have to tell you if I want to run the video? The video is next. And I did capture that on there, and I did set it to music because it's just otherwise pretty dry. And I think you'll recognize the Kingston Trio singing along with these three birds, but can you hit okay, I need a picture. Kingston Trio, the false start there. We'll have them re-rack it. There we go. It's the same birdhouse. You'll see it. And I actually, if you're actually interested in the trivia of it, the bird that I had the picture of before will be the second one, and you'll see he's complete out there for a long time for you. That's one from the previous nesting above it there. He likes to help.
We're at our halfway point right now.
Okay.
We've got about 25 minutes left.
Okay. Maybe we should just scratch the list.
It just depends on how you go, where you're at.
Now, Papa has a feather in his mouth. It looks like a worm, but it's not. It's a feather.
Wherever you're at. If you want to start it, we can start it with the slides or something. Our last one. Great job.
Oh, okay. I'm going to talk about the tree swallow next. Right after. The last guy is almost always timid, very timid. But you know he's going to go, don't you? I'll tell you, it's going to be the last note of the song. So, yeah. Okay. The other birdhouses, as I mentioned, the other bird nest boxes are usually taken over. I have 2 or 3 pairs of tree swallows every year, and that's what happened here. In this situation here, I was taking pictures, actually, of the mother tree swallow as she was building her nest. These were the product of it later. So actually, I wanted to put this on because it doesn't fit later. So I started there, and I just wanted to give you those 2. I get a lot of good shots because the tree swallows are unbelievably benign when they're nesting. You can walk up to within 3 feet of one. The male usually positions himself about 10, 15 feet from the nest box. We have a mailbox post, which happens to be at that location. And I can walk over to it and practically slap him. He just looks at me, and then last minute before I reach for the male, if I'm going out there for that, is he will fly, and he'll swoop around and come right back to that box as soon as I turn my back. So it gives you the opportunity to get some tremendous pictures of them up close. And but anyway, this particular situation was an encounter with a house sparrow, and I hope I'm not getting into anybody else's area. But in this situation, I've never seen anything quite like it. I was able to capture it on some of the pictures, and so I hope that it's interesting to you. But it starts off with, as you can see, she's actually got part of her nest built, and he shows up, and he starts basically taunting them, as they will do with any of the birds. And so then you see the male tree swallow comes in and tries to, and the house sparrow obviously is not intimidated, and so he starts, he goes in there and he just flies straight into it, and there's nothing in it besides partial nest, and the male tree swallow wants him out of there, and the house sparrow, he'll fly out, and then right back in again he'll go. And so, and I was shooting all these shots. These are all in sequence. There's about 14 shots. But now you see what happened was I didn't get a shot of the initial thing, but what you see there is that's the male tree swallow. The house sparrow grabbed him just below the eye on the right side, and he's dangling there in the air. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was just clicking crazy. And the house sparrow, what happened actually, I should explain. The tree swallow was dive bombing the nest, as they will do. And each time the house sparrow would duck back into the hole, and the tree sparrow would look in. And then one of these times he didn't go so far back in, he just reached out and snapped him. And he, as you can see there. So this turns out okay. But it doesn't turn out okay for the sparrow. But anyway, but you'll see in a minute. But anyway, you see him there. I got these various shots. It was they were flopping around like a kite on a string. It was, and I really didn't know what to make of it. I never saw anything quite like that. But the most interesting part was here, because the tree swallow, the house sparrow's trying to pull him into the nest box, I guess to kill him. And it was unsuccessful because of the size of it. There's a closer up of the same thing. And so finally, the tree swallow does manage to get loose. I think there, and he flies up to the top. I did take a picture of him from that side. It doesn't appear to have any damage. There was no tear to the skin or any loss of feathers or anything else. Now the house sparrow did. So I decided that was enough, and I went in to get the universal trap, and which was in the garage. This was right in front of our garage in our front yard. And so I went and got. By the time I came back, he was pretty much still in this position. But as I approached the nest box, both of them flew away. And so I set the trap, and I turned around to come back toward my camera, and I could hear that famous click. And that house, I got one of them. I knew that, so I turned around, and that's what it looks like, of course. And I got the house sparrow, and that was the end of his career. But I think that's the end of also the end of that, isn't it, Kevin? Yeah, let me do the last one. We're having a technical. I have to admit to you, I'm disappointed a little bit that we weren't able to. I did another video that was really that had all these good songs like the Browns singing "I Heard the Bluebird Sing" and Marvin Rainwater singing "Gonna Find Me a Bluebird" and who's it? Mac Wiseman and the Osmond brothers singing. The Bluebirds are singing for me, and it really turned out very nicely. But for some reason, we're having technical difficulties with the sound. There's 126 pictures that go along behind the sound, and I knew when I first looked at that your eyes would be glazed after about 30. I don't care how much you love Bluebirds. You watch 30 or 40 of the pictures, and you start shaking your head. And so I did add the sound behind it. It had, but in other words, this is this particular part. I tried to be cute, so I found Chet Atkins instrumental, of course, playing "Birth of the Blues." It starts off with "Birth of the Blues," and then basically it is timed out right, and it's just unfortunate that we're not able to show it to you exactly, but time goes on, and these are only 7 seconds long, so that's one reason why I apologize. Some of these you might want to look at them a little longer, but this with the music so far, well, I think now you're going to see again. This is the same one we saw a while ago, if you notice, and.
Yeah, David, you can just go ahead and sing for us.
No, this I really like the fledgling when they first fly. This particular bird, this is up on the railing of our deck, and he and another and his brother there, and they basically. My wife came out with something for me to eat, and they decided to fledge them. Notice they're all asleep, they've all got their eyes closed. But when the next frame you see, she shows up, they're all awake. This is in the tree behind our house, and yeah, and then well, I have a million, not a million. I have a lot of pictures of that. Those sort of pictures, and but the other thing I do is I actually try to document the time that it takes for the juvenile to acquire the adult feathers. Somebody asked me one time how long it takes, and so I did have the pictures. I went back through my whole thing the day they fledged and went each day up to and it was 96 days. And so I told everybody it was 96 days. So then I decided I would do it again, and it was 127 days. So the answer is, who knows? It takes a while. I've been blocking you all. I'm sorry. But, they aren't mad, they're hungry. But, it'll be okay. I think they'll like it. Okay, this starts the second song. This is where I actually gave you the Brown singing. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that song. So I met a girl back in the hills and gave my lonely heart a thrill. I'm not going to sing it for you. Don't worry. This is part when I looked into her eyes, I saw the blue and silver skies, and that's why I put those two there together. But anyway. Esoteric stuff that you don't really need to worry about. Fredericksburg, that's on I-95, about 75 miles south of Washington. As we say, 65 miles from Richmond, which we're Southerners. We don't we look south. Now this was just a few weeks ago. This was all through the cold winter months. It seemed like spring would never come and all that. Okay, so that's where you would be with the song if we were able to deliver it. So that's our Bradford pear tree just before it started to sprout out. Yeah, that was supposed to be a little mad, not mad, certainly peeved. But, and this was a couple weeks ago too. Huh? The, oh. This was just before we had a cold freeze right after this particular shot, and the birds never showed up. But if you all want me to just skip all this, it's okay. All right, but it's. Sir? They stay forever. I don't let them. Well, I can talk about that if we have time, but they fly and they come back within about 7 days because they go to the trees and the parents come down, get mealworms and take to them, and then the fledglings become bold and they follow them down, and then next thing you know, they're feeding themselves. So that's. How far? 36 days. They're weaned on the 36th day, and in my experience, every time. From the day they hatch. They hatch at 18, and they fly 18 days, and then 18 days later they get weaned. I mean, just like clockwork. Just turn the page. One day he's feeding them, next day he's pecking them in the face. Now I know that's not where you put a nest box. I know that I put that there for the picture, and so therefore it's not normally there. That's my
Excuses, excuses.
Are we running out of time? Okay. This is the Bradford pear tree too. We don't have very many trees. When they developed that area, they bulldozed all the trees, and then we only planted one or two. And we have that nice Bradford pear and that's it too. So to look for color, I usually ask them to sit there. That's a weeping cherry, which I like because the branches are exposed at the top and they like to perch there. The other thing I do, which is interesting, since I don't have a lot of perches, bluebirds will normally come in and perch on the highest point and then go to the feeder. And so I just take a bunch of fence posts and things like this, and I Velcro them to the side of the deck, and they're a foot or so higher than anything else, and that's where they'll land. So I have my camera pointed in that point. That's one reason I'm ready. And what are we doing for time?
You got about 7 or 8 minutes to go.
Okay, we'll play, but we get down to. Okay, let's move to the next one. Yeah, I do have one more thing I wanted to tell you, and I don't. This is going to run late because we were a little bit late starting. So I want to learn. Do the last one, please, and then which is. Now. Go ahead. Okay, now the only thing, there's two pictures I want to show you, and this is the first one, and these are examples of what other people think are good pictures. I think I would have thrown this one away. I never would have kept this picture. This was taken, actually, it's two bluebirds fighting, actually. That's a young male that's at the feeder, and that's his papa above him, and he's just mad at him for being there, I guess, because he wanted some. And what happened? Did I do that? Anyway, the fact is, I posted this on a forum, and I had my name on it, and I didn't think anything more of it. Somebody picked it up off the forum, and it went around the world. And you wonder sometimes about these viral things because I would never have done that. I never even knew that it happened. And some lady on another forum, she recognized recognized that glass feeder. And so she said to me, "Is that your picture?" And I said, "Well, sure." And I went back after a lot of work, and because it was taken in 2009. So I went back and found it, the original with my name on it, and I posted it for her to see. And then another person saw it. And it turns out that somebody had created one of these videos where 10 best shots or something, and it made that 10 best list. And I said, "How in the world?" To me, that's just another picture. I mean, it shows action, but I don't like it. I mean, it's not what I want to see them. I feel like I'm a PR man for the Bluebirds, and so I don't want to. If you notice, I don't show them when they're molting. I don't show them when they're doing anything ugly, and I didn't even have the fecal sacs. I have tons of pictures of all that. But anyway, I just want to say that sometimes what I think is going to be a good picture is not necessarily what other people think. And so when somebody asked me if they can use one of my pictures, I said, take your choice, because if I send you one, you probably wouldn't like it. So because I guess we all look at things differently. Am I doing it? This shot is now, this one is another one where I didn't understand. I posted it on the forum, and I'm sure Jimmy's seen it before, and it didn't do anything. Nobody reacted. I mean, we had 8 or 10 people who just simply, they react to everything. So you sort of, it's not that you don't appreciate it, but you just sort of understand that some people just have to compliment you every time, and the other people, when they compliment you, that really maybe you did hit something, because they're stingy with their compliments. And but anyway, I almost threw that one away too. And so, in fact, I think when I posted it, I said this one, I was going to throw this away, and somebody said, "Oh no." Anyway, the next day, I'm not kidding you. The next day on Facebook, I don't know how many of you people are on Facebook, I got over 500 requests for friends. And I said, "What is going on?" I mean, the thing was just coming down like a cascade. And I said, "What in the world has happened?" And it was all these people had seen this thing. It had been shared how many thousand times. And people were all wanting to be my friends. I got enough friends. So I just thought I'd point that out to you, because it's crazy. And they don't really want to be my friends. And I would say, do I have a minute? 2 minutes, okay. I would say this. Now, I don't sell my pictures. I do share generously. I don't, the biggest satisfaction I get, and I'm an amateur, and one reason I don't sell is because I want to be an amateur. You don't expect much from an amateur. And so, and I like that. That gives me a comfort zone, and I like that. And on top of that, in a serious note, I get unbelievable numbers of people, especially on Facebook. These people, most of them are old ladies, but some of them are old men. They're in wheelchairs. They're looking out the window. They say they can't get out anymore. This makes their day. That makes mine.
Oh.